Live from iRacing's virtual Michigan International Speedway, we say good evening, SimRacing fans, and welcome to Week 3 of the RealSimRacing IceBreaker Winter Series. Well, as always, happy that you're spending your Monday evening with us here on RaceSpotTV. Alongside Derek Watson, my name is Evan Pasoko. Our producer downstairs, Dustin All, is bringing us to you this evening. And Derek, we are back for a third week and a third different racetrack type as this 2024 calendar rolls on, as we'll get our first look at these big, powerful Gen 4 Cup cars on a 2-mile D-shaped oval here in the Brooklyn Hills of Michigan.
Yeah, as you said, a third type of track here that you see on the schedule. Michigan, of course, we'll go to Homestead Miami Speedway next. Then after our holiday break, we'll have the driver vote track, followed by Charlotte, Auto Club, sister track to Michigan, and it will round out at Legacy, Atlanta.
It's going to be a fun calendar throughout. We'll see the sister track to this you mentioned in Fontana a little bit later on in January. There are a lot of intermediate racetracks scattered throughout the season as well. But these 2-mile D-shaped ovals is going to be a unique challenge, as we will see speeds well in excess of 205 miles an hour over the course of tonight's race. We are 2 races in, and we've seen 2 different race winners so far on the calendar. Most recently, it was Malik Ray winning just 1 week ago in the second race of the season at Chicago. But Seth the Merchant has continued to carry the torch courtesy of his race win in the season opener at Daytona, and a strong result last week at Chicago has him with an 11-point lead over Grant Davis in the championship, with Cody Harris, Nathan Jurgensen, and Don Stevenson right now inside your top 5.
What a great close points battle this is, by the way. Look at all those points right there. Basically from, third back through 10th. So close. As these races progress, there's some awesome battles that are going to come up our way.
We expect it to be tight all the way through. It is important to note, Malik Gray won last week. Well, those are his 42 points right there for the race win in 13th. There are no drop weeks to help drivers who may miss a round of the championship. So consistent performances and making all 8 starts is going to be a big key in trying to fight for the championship this season. So we roll into, as we mentioned, a unique challenge and the first of 2 trips to these 2-mile D-shaped ovals in Michigan. Big racetrack, high speeds, 18 degrees of banking in the corners here, and what will soon be 1 of 1 on the NASCAR Cup calendar, with the current demolition happening out in Fontana.
Yeah, some pictures came out on Twitter or X or Twix or whatever you want to call it this week of that demolition happening, and some of the seats coming down. Kind of a sad sight, I know there's plans to do Fontana, but I was really sad to see, that track. Maybe they're not going to be great, but it was definitely this moment. See the pictures coming out on social media this week.
This tight track, this layout is so much fun, just as the version of Fontana will continue to live on here in the service. One of a couple of different NASCAR racetracks that I've been able to attend the race at. Back on the course, we're doing like 220 miles an hour down into turn 1. Nothing else like it. And I think that, again, these Gen 4 cars with the big horsepower harkens back to that era. Just over a minute left to go in the practice session, and then we will go qualifying. It is still a 5-minute open qualifying session, which means that these drivers will have several opportunities to either start and stop different runs, or just try to put down some consecutive laps to fight for the pole position. And as it has been a discussion point all season long, certainly in that Daytona opener, but I think the speeds here means that it'll be a factor here again tonight, is with that group qualifying. It'll be interesting to see how drivers try to work with and against each other in the draft to try to help them out lap time wise, and see who can get the better qualifying positions, as looks like we'll have about 30 cars in tonight's race.
Yeah, as you said, those teams working together is important for them to see how they can qualify better or worse, or how the dirty air will affect a car here. I think track position will be super important on this big, massive track. So I think we'll see a lot of guys trying really hard to find just that key magic in qualifying. It's about to wrap up here, of course, in open qualifying, Evan. everyone's out on track together, in theory, on different parts of the track. It's not one by one. You turn the best lap you can, and if you get an incident point, you hit a wall, you go off track, you hit a car, you will disqualify your lap.
Couple of drivers joining the session at the last minute here. Looks like Seth the Merchant and Michael Guest connecting late. They will not have times in the practice session, but it looks like they will be on the grid in time to participate in qualifying. We had just taken a look at the 31 and Nathan Jurgensen. He was the best in practice with a 38.233, but now those lap times are wiped off the board, and we are qualifying as the 5-minute clock ticks on down. First car off of pit road, the 8 ball. It's Kyle Kamer.
Yep, a bunch of cars quickly off track here. You got the eight car there. You see Jurgensen. You'll see all kinds of cars on back. So drivers wasting no time. They can merge safely after the blue cone. You see now up here on the track and going forward here.
Kamer notably tried to get out pit road quick, so maybe not preferring to have any of the dirty air in front of him. It means that he's going to have much more control over his lap time in terms of dirty air and the car getting a little bit tight in the corner, but it also means he'll get zero advantage of any sort of a draft out the windshield. So he's on his first flying lap, 203 miles an hour, as he goes right up to the outside wall. You can see he passes a couple more cars on the bottom. He kept it about a lane to a lane and a half up the racetrack. This track doesn't feel that steep when you're down there on the bottom, but it does have 18 degrees if you went out there and measured it. I think the corners are just so wide that it feels a little bit less banked than it is in actuality. And now at this end of the racetrack at 3 and 4, you can see he's kind of got to chase it up the hill just a little bit there. Same idea, though, kept it about a lane and a half up off of the bottom. Now on the front stretch, he'll go to the apron. First lap time at 38.410. Jurgensen goes second. Behind him, Gidman, top of the board early. The benchmark is a 38.394 for the 04.
I was wondering if that was a great strategy by the 8 car there to get out there early and be able to pass that traffic, put Jurgensen and others in sort of that mix of the traffic here. But now Cody Harris up to the top of the pole here. You know, the thing about the corners you said about how wide they are, it really, as a driver, it makes them feel like they last forever when you're trying to get through it. You're trying to be patient, not play with the throttle too much, wait for that moment. But because of how wide they are and just that 18 degrees of banking, man, it just feels like those corners last forever here. And it's hard to be patient not to play with that throttle.
So Gidman puts down 2 consecutive lap times. His second lap time was 0.2 slower. Both Cody Harris and Agnell Phillip, who went out there and put down faster times than him, only attempted 1 lap, came right back to pit road, and then are headed back out onto the racetrack to try again. So it seems like lap 1 is the fast lap. Malik Ray attempting to go for a consecutive lap, and yeah, not going to work, right? Tried to push it a little bit too much. He's off it into the wall. That's not going to improve his lap time. He stays in the number 11 position. So it seems like it's going to be a lot of get out there, put a flying lap down, come down pit road, reset, and try again. Jaron Weidemaster put down a 38.556, good enough for 14th position last time by the stripe. Can he improve this time? He will get no lap time that time through. So he'll look for a fast lap this time as he picks up the pace and is now maybe at full song, dropping down to about 173 in the center of the corner, and he'll pick up almost 30 miles an hour on this trip down the backstretch.
You know, and the one impressive thing about this open qualifying setup, Evan, is this track is 2 miles long. But with how many cars we have out here tonight, which is in the excess of 30 the last I looked, there's never going to be a moment. Hold on. Oh, what a say. No, never mind. That is a wild ride right there. And luckily for him, it's in qualifying, and there's no one behind him. I was going to say, though, despite this track being 2 miles long, the crazy part about open qualifying is that there's never a dull moment here. There's never a moment where you're not around someone in that draft. In fact, when you try to pit out here, you need to be careful where traffic is.
You saw the spin for Weidemaster collected another car on the front straightaway. So that's the concern as well, as not only is there the the intangibles, the draft and the dirty air, but somebody could physically have a problem in front of you, and that could mess up your lap time. It's still Phillip at 1, Harris 2. Here's Dominic Howe Coming off of the corner, looking for a lap time in the 07. He is 22nd spot right now, looking to improve. 38.796 is his time on the board. He does not get a clean lap in, so no time scored for him that time. And we go to look at Kyle Kamer sideways and a spin in front of him. Trouble for Malik Ray will disqualify the lap time of both Malik and Kyle Kamer. So right to that point, open qualifying, giving some of the top drivers a bit of a headache.
You know, an interesting note, that's Malik Ray's second incident here in open qualifying. Of course, no penalty for that per se, but just makes you aware of how hard Malik wants to push it, and kind of makes you nervous if you're behind him for the start of the race.
Inside of 40 seconds left, checkered flag is out. If you're on a flying lap, you're allowed to complete it. We look at the 7 of Kyle Trudell, who did not have the speed he wanted in practice, got really close to the outside wall there. What does the XPM Chevrolet get at the stripe? 38.617. He does not improve. The 07 of Howe is on a flyer, but with 10 seconds left, he is not likely to be able to get all the way around, and that thing was sideways all the way off of the corner anyways. So this looks like, as the session winds down, it's going to be the early laps put down by Phillip, Harris, and Gidman that will stand the test of time, and qualifying has drawn to a close. So let's take a look at your Real Sim Racing starting grid, and it is the defending Winter Series champion, Agno Phillip, on a pole position, his 38.350, an exact tie with Cody Harris for the fastest lap time. The 94 recorded that lap time first. He gets pole. Harris starts alongside in second. Galen Gidman, who jumped to the early pole position, ends up third on the charts. He'll be on row number 2 with your P4 starter Kyle Kamer. And back on row 3, the 5th place starter is the 12 of Ross Cato with Nathan Jurgensen. Fastest in practice, he settles for P6 in qualifying.
We'll move back to the Virginia native Thomas George back there in that 6th car in 7th, with Malik Ray setting a time there, and he'll be in P8. Then you got Seth DeMerchant and Don Stevenson 9th and 10th, round out row number 5. And then row number 6 is Michael Lorea, who finished 3rd in the Cup Series this year, with Grant Davis in P12.
Tom Wetmore gets lucky number 13. He'll be alongside Joseph Tyson, some iconic colors behind the wheel of the number 5 machine tonight. Jared Widemaster will start from 15th position with Sam Nieto alongside in P16. Nicholas Barra will start P17. Kyle Trudell in 18th.
Picking back up at 19th is Braden Whitaker, there with P20 Carl Shedd. Blade Witt back there in the 88 and 21st with William Schmidt in the 97 and 22nd. And then Dominic Howe and Dylan Coyle, RaceSpot's own, all the way back in 24th.
And continuing on through, Manatsi Majors got the Sprite winter spiced cranberry color. Say that 3 times fast on board. Is he'll start 25th. Derek Papineau alongside in P26. It's Malachi McGleshan in 27th. Brett Larson in 28th. And then Sean Kalis and Mike Maddox make up row 15.
And then rounding up towards the back of the field here to get deep in, we're now going to be up to P31. And that will be Michael Guest and Harry Grindell. They did not set time to qualify, so they're not on the graphic, but that is your 31st and 32nd spots in tonight's race here at Michigan International Speedway.
So a couple of drivers take those provisionals. They'll start from the rear, and all 32 cars now roll off of the pit lane. We talk more about this Michigan International Speedway located in Brooklyn, Michigan. This racetrack has been owned by NASCAR itself since 2019 after an acquisition from the International Speedway Corporation. But this racetrack has been around since the 60s. This racetrack broke ground in 1967. That was over 56 years ago. And this racetrack, 2 miles in length, 18 degrees of banking in the corners, 12 degrees on that wide sweeping front stretch, 5 degrees on the back straightaway. Tonight's race, 75 laps in distance, fixed setups across all the cars. It is the iRacing default Michigan fixed setup, and it is worth noting, with some throwback races on the calendar, this is the current scan of Michigan, not the old scan on the surface. No fast repairs available to anybody in the field. What you got is what you get. 4 tire sets will be available on pit road over the course of this race, and they are running with 100% fuel capacity. Well, the lights are out on top of the iRacing pace car, and it is the defending champ Agnew Phillip in control as he's still looking for his first win of the 2024 season. We're happy that you're with us on RaceSpotTV. Phillip goes into the restart zone. Let's go racing at Michigan. Agnew Phillip leads lap number 1. They'll all go to the high side, off and into turn number 1. Side-by-side challenge for second. Nothing happening there as the 31 car Jurgensen defends. You got to look back a couple of rows to find that next battle there. The 44 car, the light blue entry. That's Michael Laraya on the inside of the 12 Ross Cato at a battle for P8.
Well, it didn't take them long to find that 3-wide battle, did it? Just out of turns 1 and 2. They were already 3 wide here at Michigan. But for the most part now, we've got it back down to 2 wide or single file here. And we're seeing some cars want to get in line and ride here. A long 75-lap race. It doesn't sound long, but plenty of time to make a move here. No need to burn up your equipment in the first or second lap.
Yeah, some drivers push it more than others. I mentioned Jurgensen up to second. He started P6, so that's a big gain for him. Seth the Merchant started 9th. He's up to 5th, so there are some drivers already all throughout the field that have been able to make some big moves early. Looking at that 24 of Davis to the outside of the racetrack, to his inside, Tom Wetmore in the number 51 car. They fight side by side for the last spot inside of the top 10. Inside's got the advantage. That time at the stripe, give it to Wetmore. In front of them, the 44 and the 6, side by side up the road as well. So in the midfield, plenty of action going on in the opening laps at MIS.
Yeah, a lot of action going on. You know, one of the things that is similar here about the track compared to last week, Evan, is the apron of the track. The banking down there is non-existent, and you can get a good run down there, but it's not as wide as last week. So I don't think we'll see as many drivers take advantage of it because it's a much harsher, you know, entry and re-entry to the track than it would be in other tracks here. But see a beautiful run here to the bottom lane. This is definitely not a single groove racetrack, though.
You've got options here, and again, nobody wants to go all the way down to the yellow, right? They're all pretty much in consensus. We want to be above that lowest seam and leave a bit of lane to the inside of the racetrack, but you saw the 3 wide opening lap. You can see 2 wide pretty much everywhere inside of the top 10 or so. Back here in the 20s, certainly passing opportunities is often into turn number 1. Couple of cars on the move. The 70, Harry Grindel's down there on the bottom. They're even side by side for very last on track with Kalis to Papanow. So plenty of options all over this Michigan International Speedway. And now 3 wide in the run to turn 1. Thomas George gets split through the middle as it was Cato to the outside and Wetmore on the inside of him.
Well, I think what's going to happen regarding those options you talked about a moment ago is as this race goes on, if we keep it green and we put some laps on these tires, I think those options will begin to fade a little. You'll see more and more drivers keep sliding to the top of the track and running up there, because when you run the inside corners here, that car will get loose and snap around on you as these tires wear out. So I think as this run goes on, you'll see more and more drivers, I think, move to the top. With this new refresh of the oval racing, Evan, we got this week in iRacing, there's still a few question marks about how this program works.
Yeah, drivers have been talking about that all the week long, how those new dynamic track updates and tweaks to try to improve how the track responds and changes over the course of a run, how it interacts with the cars. Drivers have been learning how much has changed from a week ago, and that has not only applied to these Gen 4 Cup Series, but really to all of NASCAR platform entries here on the iRacing service. There's the onboard look with Joseph Tice to the inside there. You saw a bad corner exit for Thomas George, so looks like Tice and the 24 Davis going to try to work together topside. They top out at about 203 miles an hour. That time off into turn number 1. Can the 6 car clear both of them on the inside? Yes, he does. So good defensive move by George. Not sure how long that's going to last, though, because the 24 are going to cross right back over to the inside. And Durant Davis now wants to go on the offensive as we work lap number 8.
In a way, sort of a throwback to old Hendrick days, and performing well at Michigan at the 24 and the 5 right there, side or back to fourth, I should say, bumper to bumper, trying to get around the 6. This is a sort of good classic NASCAR battle you got going on here that we've seen hundreds of times here. We're now working lap 9 of 75. If this stays green, which hoping it will, we will need to do a pit stop at some point, but that's later in the story, Evan. But how you race right now determines how bad you want that pit stop later. I believe the guys, or the drivers, pardon me, who are running the top of the track will probably be a little happier with their tires when it comes around to pit stop time.
I would say so as well. And you're looking at the 88 machine now as all of these battles continue on track as everybody tries to get things sorted out. One thing I did want to point out is what happened to Cody Harris in the 28 car. Cody Harris was scheduled to start this race in 2nd position, and he disconnected from the service. He dropped out of the session right before we went to the grid, as there's one car in the grass right near here, and that's Eric Papanow from 31st. That might actually be bad news for Cody Harris, because Cody Harris missed the grid, rejoined the session. He is 2 laps down right now, Derek. If there's a yellow, he's the driver in position for the lucky dog. Well, the issue is Eric Papanow is having big problems. If Papanow falls a lap down, he might actually take Harris out of the lucky dog spot. Remember, no drop weeks. We were just talking about how big of a deal that is. Cody Harris entered tonight 3rd in the championship. He is dead last right now. That would all but kill his championship hopes. And it was something that wasn't his fault at all, just a tough break.
Yeah, you say being from a native of Ohio, you say those tough breaks are coming naturally here and being left out of things, but sometimes that happens to you. But really the 2 laps down, that's the unfortunate part. Plenty of time to make it back, whether it be from yellows, you know, maybe a pit strategy. You know, since he did disconnect and ended up on pit road, he does have a little bit more gas than his competitors, so maybe he can pull up a pit strategy and make it happen, but still lots to happen here. But you're right, unless Papanow becomes the caution car, if he does fall a lap down, you're right, that'll make it even harder for Cody Harris to get around here. But you know, it's interesting to think, Evan, for all the loose cars and aggressive moves and wall hits you saw in practice, right now through 12 laps, things look a little bit more calm right now. I was concerned that maybe this would be a calamity style race based on how practice and qualifying were going.
Long way to go still, but I will reference in the bragging rights race last week, I don't think I could get about 3 laps at Phoenix in the street stock without getting loose and trying to knock the wall down off of turn 4, or what I guess at that version of Phoenix, what was turn 2. And when it came to the race, didn't wreck it once and got a top 10 out of it. So I'm not going to compare myself to the caliber drivers of these, but I think something may be said for you find that limit in practice, you kind of know how to work within those boundaries during the race.
Yeah, that is important, right? We both learned the value of practice this week because we both got put in the spot for a race where we we shouldn't have been. There was like 104 corners that neither one was, I don't know a name of either of those corners, but yeah, practice is definitely important. And you do push harder in practice. That's a valid point. So I agree with you there.
And even if I did know the racetrack, I probably wouldn't be able to pronounce the layout of it or the corners anyways. So that's its own battle.
Whatever it was.
Yeah, that's its own battle in and of itself. Is you saw the Ida camera slipping back a little bit. We were following that 8-car slip. He was in a 4th. He falls to P6. He's maybe stabilized for a moment, but he's kind of ahead of this next big group. He's got Wetmore behind him, then Cato, George, Davis, there's no more than maybe a tenth or two here or there separating each car, so the hits are going to keep on coming if Kamer continues to struggle. And now Wetmore going to go inside in the battle for P6. Ross Cato wants to follow the Tube Tech Chevy through. And can the spot go to Wetmore? It does. Inside the place to be. Completes it by the time he gets to the center. And Wetmore's charge continues. Started this race in 13th. He's climbed his way all the way up to 6th.
You see that driver there in the back with Ross Cato in that 12 machine. Told me he was really concerned about being able to figure out which line was going to be dominant. He had been searching the track during practice. And wanted to find that dominance line. Was also concerned how fast his competitors would want to move around the track. So he seems still searching up and down the track. Here we are, 15 laps, 16 laps in now, and it doesn't seem like he's confident in which line he wants to take here.
Well, that is the benefit of a multi-groove racetrack, but also the challenge is what works for your car, what can you learn from somebody else, and just because somebody else is fast running that line doesn't mean you're going to be. And yes, that is even in spite of the fact that it is a fixed setup race. A lot of that comes down to driver style. And it feels like Kamer knows he's struggling right now. He's really overdriving that 8 car, right? He was sliding off at the corner last time, so he's continuing to struggle. As up front, we've got a change for the race lead for the first time tonight. New race leader, Malik Ray, who was able to eventually take control of that race just a week ago in Chicago after Logan Clampett wrecked out of the lead. After contact with a lapped car, Malik Ray led some 70-some-odd laps of the 100 laps in that race, and he has made a quick charge from P8 to P1 after Agnell Phillip was able to lead the opening 16 laps or so.
Yeah, what a great run by Malik so far. I mean, you talked about the difference between practice and qualifying and race. I mean, we saw Malik Ray around 2, I think, or 3 times during qualifying, and I made the comment that maybe we should be concerned for how he's racing, but so far, very calm, very collected. Took his time, got around Agnell Phillip, and now holds the lead here. But now we're back to this beautiful battle here again. That's Ross Cato on the inside with the 6th car on the outside here. And this, as Evan said, is the benefit of multi-groove racing. Both of those cars looked comfortable in that corner. It didn't look as though either driver was fighting that car. There was no moving around, no wiggling. We didn't see any obvious movement of the hands. So that's why drivers love a track like Michigan or Legacy Auto Club as it is now, because it's a driver's racetrack. You get the setup, but as Evan said, the setups only matter so much here. What you can do with the car is what matters.
Couple old school looking paint schemes in the battle that we watch now. For 12th on back, the Miller Lite 2 is Sam Nieto ahead of the Kellogg's number 5 of Joseph Tyson. And you've got Windmaster in there, Galen Gidman back to the outside. Gidman started this race in 3rd and just has not had a good time thus far. Just has had an awful opening stint of this race. And it wasn't any single huge moment. It was just kind of a steady slip backwards. Curious if he could have some positive regression now and was maybe conserving the car early to benefit late, but he's got some work to do. He's ahead of the battle behind him. That sees Windmaster trying to get to the inside of the 5 of Tice. Can't do it. And I think I'm just going to use that 5 of Tice as a reference point because you can probably see that car from Fontana with how bright that 5 is.
Yeah, that's a beautiful car in it with that big bright colors. And there's a spotter. Hold on. That's going to be a car around and no yellow stutter disc. Never mind, that spoke too soon.
Spinner for the 9 of Windmaster. First caution of the night will fly at lap number 20 of 75. And that was a lazy spin off of the corner, benefited by that huge apron on the back straightaway. Means that Windmaster ends up making no contact at all with the inside wall, so he's just going to be able to drive away from this. That's going to be big for Cody Harris, who is in the lucky dog spot at the moment of the caution flag, which means that he should be getting a wave around to at least get one of his laps back. So that's a big story, and I don't know if the 9 just cleared himself, but certainly started to come up, and Michael Guest had a run, got into the back of the 9 and disposed of him.
Yeah, not clear would be the 2 words to describe that moment, but the question in my head is how much damage did Michael Guest take? He has probably a little bit of front end damage and of course some damage on the right side of that car from scraping that wall. So we'll wait and see here. There was some discussion. I can tell you Michael Guest doesn't necessarily believe that's his fault. And I'm pretty sure I agree. I don't think there is fault there. I think that's just two drivers coming together with little track space.
So pit road is open for the first time under yellow, and everybody is going to be down pit road. For the record, Michael Guest has claimed responsibility for the incident, so he will receive the end of the longest line penalty. I just saw the red blur of Cody Harris's car stay out, so he's going to get a lap back, and now your leaders down pit road, likely all looking for the same service. Malik Ray enters pit road first, but Agonal Phillip right behind him goes all the way down to the #1 pit stall. Let's see if that 94 could win the race off pit road.
Yeah, that'll be the question here. I suspect everyone will be a 4-tire stop in gas. We see a couple close-up shots here. That's the 94, that beautiful Allspice car there. Here's Malik Ray, though, first off pit road. Not a surprise. First in, first out.
It was close coming to the pit scoring line. The benefit, of course, of the #1 pit stall always goes to the higher qualifier, but it does indeed look like Malik Ray going to be the first one out. Lariah third, Jurgensen fourth, and Tom Wetmore fifth off of pit road. And then Cody Harris evidently taking the wave around plus pit service, which is the benefit of a massive track like this, is he can get a lap back and still come down pit road by getting the lucky dog, as opposed to, essentially using that time to just catch up and foregoing the pit service. We jump back onto board. Here's Guest's perspective. He claimed it. Let's see.
I mean, normal traffic laws would dictate if you're the guy who makes contact with you into someone else, that you're at fault. But I don't know, Evan. Credit to him for taking the blame. But when a car comes up that fast out of a corner, I don't know what he was supposed to do. If he lifts there, he probably causes trouble behind him. I don't know.
Tricky, and that one could have gone to a post-race review if neither of them claimed it, but I think, again, the incentive is that if it does go to a post-race review and you're found at fault for it, the penalty is higher, so drivers more inclined to want to play it safe and claim responsibility. So that's what happens. So because of that, Michael Guest will get the end of the longest line of penalty. He'll drop to the back as the lights go out on top of the pace car. That post-race penalty exemplified with what we saw with DeAndre Kane just a week ago. I referenced the contact with race leader Logan Clampett. DeAndre Kane was a lap-down car, was given the at-fault for the cause of the caution, and because he was a lap-down car and because he didn't claim it, he was given 4 penalty points, and 5 is the marker to be parked for a week. So that goes into saying why you would want to pit early or claim responsibility early and not have that issue. So Michael Guest will take the 1 point, and he'll take the EOL.
Yeah, and that is the reason to do that, is it's an incentive to you to take the less points if you're found at fault. So I agree with that. I agree that's probably the reason to do it. I don't know. That's one of the tougher calls we've seen so far across, now this being the 3rd race here. Well, now Cody Harris is only 1 lap down, Evan, so he just needs 1 more yellow, and he's back on the lead lap here.
All he needs is 1 more to get back into it, and then if that happens, it is going to be a lot of fun to see him try to march his way through the field. Pace car off and in. We will put 23 laps behind us, still 53 laps to go from Michigan. This time, Malik Ray in control, green flag back in the air.
Well, the sample size is only 1 so far, Evan, but the thing that stood out to me that's different this week, Malik Ray did not get the dominant jump on the restart he did every time last week here when he was leading the RSR Winter Series. He still got a nice comfortable lead here as he's pulling away, but at least on the initial restart, those drivers were ready and were up on him when the green flag hit in the air.
Look at the 3 wide back in the battle for what I think is 5th spot is the 57 of DeMerchant on the bottom, the 8 of Kyle Kamer in the middle, and it's the 6 of Thomas George to the outside, and the 8 almost got knocked around there. He will lift and jump out of that one. DeMerchant settles for second. The big winner is Thomas George, who gets the 2-for-1.
Yeah, great run right here. And look at this beautiful battle here happening deep in the field here. Two, even maybe almost three wide with that 5 car going to the outside. He backed out the last second here. Seeing a little bit of smoke there. Was that a wall scrub, I think? I don't have a car number on that, but someone had to get out of the wall there. Or they were going to, I think it was Dominic Howell, who was out there in the wall. It was going to probably hurt his car really bad if he didn't get off of it.
We've seen a couple of drivers with the back end kicked out, and if it gets into the wall, the car kind of gets sucked into the fence. Takes a little bit of work to get it off, so maybe a Scotia damage there. As you look up at the 97 of Schmidt, he is ahead of the battle between the 24 of Davis, the 2 of Nieto, but the 97 in a fight of his own right, trying to get to the outside of the 51 of Wetmore. Not going to be able to do so there, and this midfield is a hornet's nest right now.
Yeah, everyone trying to jockey the position. They believe the best way to go catch Malik Ray is to get forward fast and be up there out of this hornet's nest, but that's hard. It's easier said than done. Man, the 5 almost all into the back end of that car there. Got it backed out and ready to go here. And there's Ross Cato up in the 12 on the inside. One of the only cars there. Now he's got the old number 2. Nope. Ross Cato is really trying a different line here.
Mix it up, why not? The 12 car is certainly lower than we've seen most cars tonight. Again, he's gone below that lowest seam, which most drivers, generally speaking, look to have been trying to avoid for much of this race. But he feels like pinned down on the inside. Hey, maybe my best opportunity is to try to rip it around the bottom. This end of the racetrack, now that he's single file, he stays pretty much in line with everybody else. Cato started 5th. Gateman started 3rd. They run nose to tail right now. 13th and 14th, both of those cars with some work to do after promising starts. Meanwhile, Michael Araya continues to move forwards. The Sim Speed Shop Chevy started back at 11th, and as he gets the head of steam topside, looking to take 3rd away from Nathan Jurgensen.
Yeah, doing a great job up there. Right now, it's going to pull back in line here, try to suck a little bit of draft out of Phillip, and even a little bit maybe out of Malik Ray via Phillip here. That's too big of a gap, though, but he'll get the one from Phillip. Now get back in line, set up your next move here. With everyone in line, if you're the guy out of line, if you're the driver out of line, Evan, you're going to lose that little bit of draft here. So that's what he wants to get back in line for. What a great run here, though, by Larry. As he said, 11th to 3rd. Really, you know, his best performance so far this season in this car. So good for him.
Doing what he needs to do, and that is just a steady rate of improvement. Lariah was 5th in practice, so that 11th spot in qualifying probably was not indicative of the speed that he has tonight. Is behind him Seth DeMerchant, who qualified 11th. Can't really tell you what the speed of that car is. Didn't put down a lap in practice, I should say, but he's also kind of been following the 44 lockstep through the field, so those two are very much on the move. And I think they're going to need to keep moving if we're going to see somebody challenge Malik Ray. Because again, Agnew Phillip led the opening 15 or so laps of this race, and then Malik Ray took over and has checked on out. That Pennzoil number 1 was so good a week ago. It is so good again tonight. He's 8/10 up on this battle here. You're looking off of the back of P2 Agnew Phillip at that 44 Lariah. Phillip's not doing a good job of hanging on to Malik Ray, so the 44, I'm sure, wants to get past Quake and try to reel in that race leader.
Yeah, I can kind of feel that in the way you watch Lariah move this car around the track. Always kind of peeking for a line to see if he can get around the 94. I suspect he thinks he's a little faster, and he's wondering if he can keep up with Malik Ray. So he's trying to dig for a way to get past here. Now he's got a little bit of a draft line behind the help. Going to get back in line here. You know, Lariah, really a tale of two emotions, told me that how important it was to qualify up front tonight. So I'm sure the 11th place run to start wasn't where they wanted to be, but also told me they've had a blast, these Gen 4 cars, and they are stoked that the community voted to use these cars this season.
It was a driver-led initiative, as we've talked about before, that has brought the big names, the likes of Ray and DeMerchant and Guest, Clampett, those names competing head-to-head against the big names that we've seen all year. And in many cases for several years here on Monday nights. The Lariahs and the Phillips of the world, the Friedashes as well. Andrew not competing here today, but a four-time Cup champ. You know, him and Agnell compete through that road to pro ladder. I think Agnell Phillip was about 5 positions shy of qualifying through the eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series, that close to a berth in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Instead, he's won the last 2 Cup Series championships here on Monday night and is the defending Winter Series champ from last year. But again, that was in the Xfinity cars like it had been for the first 9 years of this series' history. But in this 10th anniversary of the RealSimRacing IceBreaker Winter Series, it is Gen 4 Cup cars for the very first time, and the drivers have been loving it so far. This battle for second, throw a blanket over them, as it's Phillip leading Lariah, leading to Merchant.
Yeah, doing a great job. Look at this beautiful onboard shot here, and you can see how Lariah is trying anything he can to keep out of that dirty air of Agnell Phillip and find a way around. One runs top, one runs bottom. Will come together here. But look how much better Lariah is at getting just closer to the wall. And typically being out that far to the wall means you gain a little bit more speed. Oh, hold on. There's a pass on the bottom, though. That is Seth the Merchant trying to make himself known in this competition.
Big swing for DeMerchant. Was there contact there? I think the 94 just got loose as the 57 drove it in aggressively to the bumper. And now it's DeMerchant who's the one making the moves. He was the trailer. He was the caboose of this 3-car battle. And now to the second spot goes DeMerchant. Gets both of those passes done in a single lap. And now sets his sights on a familiar foe as Malik Ray is almost 1 second up the road. Nobody standing in between Malik Ray now and Seth the Merchant. Of course, you wind back the clock to what we saw just a week ago. Malik Ray, Seth the Merchant. It was Malik by 7/10 winning at Chicago over Seth. Can that 57 seek redemption here in Michigan?
Well, right now, so far, the 57, I'm sure, and Lariah are both excited. I think they got around Agnell Phillip, and they both now can make their own run up to Malik. But let's go back in the field here and watch this battle here. Nice tight battle. Oh, a car down there. If he's not sure he scraped the wall, he just got nervous.
Sticking out of line, yeah. I saw him pop out of line. I always remember that. It's easy to tell because of the 8 ball on it. That was Cameron who popped way out of line from 11th spot. Doesn't even lose the spot. He reads right back on the back rubber, that red number 2. Sam Nieto, but I think he just got a little bit loose coming off of the corner. Again, these back ends, the high horsepower, they're slipping and sliding. And that's what makes these cars fun and challenging for these competitors.
Yeah, it does. And that's most commonly going to happen out of the corners here because you're going to want to get on the gas a little bit sooner than you should. And you're going to want to try to get a run on your competitors. And when you do that, you rev it up too high, pardon me. And then you get there. But what's happening in the middle of the track, like we saw at the 6th, though, that's almost more indicative of hitting the wall and kind of bouncing off of it. You know, it's funny to think there's a different types of walls in iRacing, Evan. This sounds really weird to say. Some walls really hug you and cuddle you like a Snuggie and want to hold on to you like a big hug with your parents. And some walls are more like a pinball machine. They just want to bounce you all around. Michigan's more of that bounce you around kind of wall.
And I think the way these cars are going to hit the fence, too, is going to have a bit of an impact on it, right? Your attitude can dictate how those hugs are sometimes. And, you know, for the 57 car, if you're sticking the back end out as there's a big dive to the bottom, if you're kind of hitting it, tank slapping it, then you're going to get a harder impact with the wall. So that's something to keep in mind as well, as to the inside, through, and past the 8 machine of Kamer is the 12 of Cato. There was a almost identical move in front of them with the 24 car and the 51 making the move. So now you go back here. This battle for the 88 car on back sees the 5 of Tice trying to catch up to Blade Witt for 13th, 14th, and so on and so forth. But Gidman again started 3rd. We've talked about him at length tonight. Just hasn't been able to get out of this mid-pack after the 4 start.
No, not really. He's been kind of stuck here in the muck, so to speak, this whole race so far. Well, maybe a little bit of bump draft to the 5 there heading into the corner. If not, that was darn close. And it feels like the 5 is really just kind of riding there. Oh, man, right up in front of his competitors. And now they're going to get sorted out a little bit here. Look at the beautiful Navy car. You can see that up very blatant. That's Blade Witt there. Not a very obvious Navy car, but some great racing going on here. We are already past the halfway point of this race.
Yeah, this race is past halfway. This time by, going to be 40 laps down, 35 laps to go at Michigan International Speedway. Malik Ray has led 24 laps. It was Agnell Phillip who led the opening 15. So Agnell gets a bonus point for lap led, a bonus point for the pole position. Malik Ray looking to lock up a 2 for himself, and 1 for leading a lap, and that extra bonus 1 for leading the most laps. If he could do so, he would get another 42-point haul. Same thing he got last week in Chicago if this result were to hold. Neither of those are max points. Max points would be 43, of course, if you started from pole, then led the most laps and won the race. But 42, not a bad number. I did say no drop weeks. You've got to be up and at it, and I think if Seth finishes in second every single week, it's not going to be plausible, but I will not count out the possibility that Malik Ray comes in and wins the next, this race, the one before, right, wins 7 of 8. And he could probably make up for missing a race if these are the consistent results he's shooting for.
Yeah, right, especially if he's out here getting those bonus points for laps led and most laps. If it does end up that way for Malik Ray tonight, he could close that gap little by little here. But the thing that's different from last week, Evan, is that right now Seth the Merchant is slowly closing that gap. As you look at your leaderboard on the side of the screen every time, that gap is now down to 0.3 of a second. Unlike last week where they seemingly couldn't find the answer, Seth the Merchant has found something so far, at least to get to Malik Ray. Now catching Malik and passing Malik, 2 separate challenges.
They are very different, but things have been very clearly in Seth the Merchant's favor the last several laps. That gap has closed down. You see Seth has been able to pull away from Agnell Phillip there, so DeMerchant pulling away from a third, closing in on the lead. Seth's last lap was a 48.56. It was an 8.05 for Malik Ray, so Malik actually better the last time around, but before that, Seth running in the 40.6s, 40.7s as these tires start to wear off pretty significantly as well. We're looking at more than 2 seconds of fall off. Fresh tires to what they've got right now, and they're only about 20 laps old.
Yeah, only about 20 laps old indeed, and so we'll see if this race goes green the whole way. The biggest challenge I think will be how these tires perform, lap 70, on, as we'll see how it happens. But once again, back in the fields where the muck is happening, where it seems to be tight and side by side here. A nice battle going on. Of course, many battles have happened in this state, Evan, of Michigan, across multiple sports, whether it be famous boxing matches, Hogan slamming Andre, famous football wins, and here just another set of great battles with body slamming and door banging all night long in the RSR Winter Series.
And one of those cars going to bow out to pit road. What is going on with Thomas George in the 6? He pits all on his own. If this race were to go green, you're looking at a 54-lap run to the end. If George knows this early that he can't go that distance, he may be going the ultimate undercut here to get off cycle with everybody else and get fresh tires sooner. It appears to be scheduled service, as he is getting 4 tires and a fuel added to the Valvoline Ford. So scheduled service for Thomas George, going to kick off the pit strategy. It's a big gamble here, though, because all these lead lap cars come back by him on the front straightaway and are going to put him a lap down. So he really needs now, as there he is on pit road and on the apron inside of 1 and 2, he would really need this race to continue under green, allow this pit cycle to play itself out, because if he gets trapped a lap down, that throws it all away.
Yeah, part now with Cody Harris being one lap down now as well. There's also going to be a battle potentially for that lucky dog spot. So it's not as if he's guaranteed to be the lucky dog if the yellow comes out. But with that second per lap fall off that you mentioned a moment ago on these tires, while I think the 6 pitted a little early for my taste, I agree with the move. I think it's a solid move to put new tires on. So we'll see how he performs here. But at 2 seconds a lap, pardon me, should be pretty easy to get around some of these cars.
And he is ripping through the field right now as Thomas George has got a little bit of work to do. He's going to get to Agnell Phillip, and then he will catch in on those top 2 cars. Thomas's last lap a 109, and that's a throwaway because it counts the time on pit road. He's passing the car in third like he was standing still. Before that strategy call, Thomas George was not in a bad spot, right? Normally we'll see these kind of plays from left field by somebody who's in the teens, the 20s. He was a top 10 race car, so I still consider this somewhat of a gamble just because he was in a good spot to begin with. If he can get a couple more green flag laps, he's going to unlap himself right here, and he's going to put himself right in the middle of the battle for the race lead. He'll have enough speed to get to the inside of the Merchant, but this is going to affect the 57 car's entry. Seth isn't going to be able to go down to the bottom like Malik Ray is, and the one car almost went to the apron. 6 car holds it strong, and that kind of hurt both of those top 2 equally, as now DeMerchant is within 1 car length of Malik Ray in the battle for the race lead.
Yeah, in a way, I sort of think that the 6 car getting under Malik in the middle of the corner probably hurt a little bit more than what it did affecting Seth's turn into the corner. So I think we saw that live in the moment, as now look at this gap. It's almost non-existent. Remember, at one point, this is what, 0.8 of a second, I believe, and now we're down to less than 1/10 of a second here as we come down into turn number 3. So Thomas George has unlapped himself. So if a caution were to come out, it would not be ideal for his strategy, but at least, does not need that lucky dog. That will revert back to Cody Harris as we work lap 49, coming to 50 here. A great battle here. Now Seth DeMerchant, Evan, seems a little bit more focused on staying lined up here with Malik in these corners, not searching as much as he once was.
More pit stops continue. Minotzi Major, Galen Gidman on pit road. So it seems like the consensus is pretty clear that these drivers are going to need a second trip down pit road to be able to make it to our scheduled race distance of 75 laps. And it is a wide open, broad pit window. You wonder if Seth makes this move, does Malik respond and head right to pit road? We're going to find out now, because side by side for the race lead with DeMerchant inside of the one of Malik Ray. He was not able to keep pace with the 1 car last week as Malik dominated for the race win at Chicago, but it is a different story in the Wolverine State. DeMerchant catches, DeMerchant passes Malik. Not for long, though. The 1 car crosses right back to the inside.
And right now, if you're Agno Phillip or Michael Larea, this is the best thing possible for you, because as these 2 cars are going to fight side by side in this beautiful battle, they're going to slow each other up. They're going to not run their ideal lines, and they're going to bring 3rd and 4th into this fight. So we'll see if that gap closes, but I think at this line it would be close. It's going to be DeMerchant by a hair leading that lap.
These 2 have fought through many of the ranks on the eNASCAR ladder. Tonight, the battle happens in the RealSimRacing IceBreaker Winter Series. Seth DeMerchant on the outside, Malik Ray on the inside. The one who made the cross. Last lap off of 2 to get to the bottom, what was unable to clear. Now tucks in line for a moment to the inside. Oh, no. They touch. DeMerchant slides. Caution comes out, and the 57 spins. Look out in front of traffic. Nobody else is collected, but that changes everything as the top 2 make contact, and it happens in the middle of green flag pit stops, which will trap about a half a dozen cars down a lap.
Yeah, that's going to be unfortunate news for cars we just saw for Major and others coming down pit road. They're going to be stuck there, so the lucky dog will be in question. We'll figure that out in a moment. I'm curious to see this replay here, as I'm not sure what happens here as far as who hits who and who does what. I suspect we're going to see Malik Ray maybe using the back bumper of Seth DeMerchant a little bit, though.
You saw that Seth had the run off of 2, and Malik pulled in line, and at first I thought already he's given up the spot, but he never pulled all the way in line. He just kind of tucked the right front of that car behind the 57 to get the draft, got a bit of a run, and then tried to get under him. I think the problem was he could never establish the position on the bottom. So Malik's perspective is probably going to look like the 57 just turns in front of him. Right there, he gets in line, he gets a bit of the draft, but he's never there. So the 57's got to go into the corner. Malik's just kind of parked on that left rear. It's hard for Seth to tell, are you behind me? Are you inside of me? Just really trying to get that spot aggressively and didn't give much room, and you can't really get away with a touch to the left rear like that.
Yeah, and these cars especially, right, we've talked time and time again across these races about how the front bumpers and the back bumpers don't line up. That's less of a push and more of a lift between those two cars. Here we come down pit road. I'm going to see everyone probably lining up for 4 tires. See Malik Gray, the yellow car there. Easy to spot. Now the other side is up. And he'll be away right here. And once again, we'll win that battle off of pit road. And he'll continue to lead this race.
Consistency is the name of the game. 14.6 seconds. Malik Gray, first car off of pit road. That will not put him, though, to the race lead because a couple of cars stay out. Guest, Cato, Wetmore, Lariah currently scored ahead. Several drivers did not come down pit road under the caution flag because they had pitted just before the yellow came out. So while the yellow and the timing of the yellow hurt some, it does benefit others as well, as Lariah, Wetmore, Cato, and Guest, having pitted 2 laps ago, will cycle through to those top 4 positions. Here's the second look.
Yeah, let's see it again here. I suppose one could make the argument that DeMerchant comes down, but it just feels like Malik just gets into his back quarter panel and just sort of hits him, honestly. Have we gotten a word from race control yet? Has anyone claimed this incident?
No claim yet, so as it stands, Malik Gray and Seth DeMerchant won't lose any ground. It looks like they're actually going to line up bumper to bumper for the ensuing restart, which will be interesting to watch, but so far no claims, so that one likely to go to a post-race review. As the lights go out on top of the pace car, we got a couple of wave bys coming through. Let's take a quick opportunity and pull in our RaceSpotTV in-race reporter, Dylan Coyle. Dylan, haven't talked much about you tonight. Has that been a good thing or a bad thing? You're up a couple spots, but kind of still in that messy midfield area.
Yeah, you know, it's definitely been a fun race so far. Kind of learning a lot. We've got a new crew chief in the Mara Motorsports stable, Trey Galligan. He's a tire specialist for Colleague Racing, so he's given us a few pointers and some lessons. I haven't been that strong in this race so far, but you know, that second green flag run, he kind of taught me about saving and then pushing a little bit later, and it did kind of help me kind of just get a stable car, and hopefully strategy to stay out a little bit later helps us here. I don't think we're going to go green the rest of the way, but hey, if we do, hopefully we've got a car to finish in the top 20 at least. Top 15 again is always great.
Listen, you finished 7th here back in 2021 in the IROC series, so I've got some high expectations. We'll, might chat with you a little bit later on, but good luck here on the restart.
Appreciate it, buddy. I wrecked you in the IROC race at Michigan.
We'll find the clip. We'll try to pull it up.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, buddy.
Restart coming up. Dylan's going to be back on the outside of row at number 9. Up front, the top 4 were able to take the lead courtesy of an early pit stop. Green flag is in the air for new race leader Michael Lariah.
Lariah doing a great job here. Already pulled up to the high line where he wants to be. Tom Wetmore now to the inside here. That car in second place. Speaking of spotters and crews, by the way, Wetmore's got John Steele up in the booth with him tonight, making the calls and doing a great job navigating him through this restart.
And some 3 wide baby down the back straightaway as Seth DeMerchant tries to split the gap between that 12 on bottom and another spinner. Michael Guest is into the wall. Somebody else is around. It's a huge accident as up and over flipping down to turn number 4. Who was that took the biggest of it all? I thought it might have been DeMerchant, but it's not. He avoids it, and instead, was it Agnell Phillips? Somebody was tumbling all over the racetrack, and I think it may prove to be it was Agnell Phillips. So a big consequential accident here that involves the defending champion.
Yeah, it definitely is Agnell Phillips, unfortunately, going end over end to see 2, maybe 3 times. But that contact starts with Wetmore and Michael Guest there in the corner. You'll see it right here. That's back in further. That's post-wreck. That's not even the initial cause of the wreck. I think Wetmore and Michael Guest, so that's wrecks happening. Wreckception? Is that what we're calling it, Evan?
They were wrecking all over the track, and I'm curious if that one kind of looks like the car behind just ran over. I think what happened there was the first car was checking up because they were wrecking ahead of them, and that's why it looked like that second car in that line just absolutely demolished the car behind, and it's right there. This is not a wreck in a Cup car, not a wreck in an Xfinity car. But that quick swiping movement on the bumper in these cars with these noses and these rear ends, that 23 went around so fast, neither of those cars had any opportunity to save it.
No opportunity at all. And really, as you said, it comes from that swiping movement. I mean, Guest tries to clear himself over the front bumper of Tom Wetmore, and I think Guest sort of wrecked himself in that very odd manner. There's nothing Tom Wetmore could have done to have avoided that. I guess he could have lifted, but I don't think he had time to lift.
Curious if Wetmore was okay with going in line, right? Guest is making the pass at that time. So it's not like they were at the same speed, and I don't know if Tom was trying to cross him over or simply, give the position and get in line, but it looks like he kind of pulls behind Guest. Guest is finishing the pass, so he might come up a little bit, but that's the start of the wreck, and then Agnell Phillip right there, middle of the road, 2 massive hits that sends the 94 car tumbling. And again, that is big in terms of the championship. And you know who almost was involved in that accident? That one of Malik Ray was right next to the 51 and the 23-1 that happened. He's able to scoot on by. Same with Seth the Merchant. So 2 names that have been good tonight just narrowly avoid the accident, and they end up now 2nd and 3rd on track.
Well, I'll tell you what, rough ride for Agnell Phillip, but he stuck the landing, though. That'll get you some points on the judges' scorecards for sticking the landing there. We're going to do one more on board here. Watch this from Malik Ray's point of view. The wreck's about to happen right in front. And as you said, right there, right under it. Man, that close. And there goes Malik Ray. And just kind of gasses it up until he thinks he's safe there in the moment. By the way, Eric Papineau was your lucky dog this caution, Evan, so he's not back in the lead lap. And Cody Harris, who'd battled it all night long, that the lucky dog at least was involved in this incident.
Yeah, we were following that story from the very get-go. The fact that he was 2 laps down early, was trying to get back into this thing, got the first lucky dog, and unfortunately it evolved in this one. Cody get to be stuck a lap down. So that's a lot that's happening in this championship battle. Just with what's transpired so far tonight. Again, not a lot of big stories coming into this yet with only 2 races down, but it's the issues with Harris, who entered tonight 3rd in the championship. He's stuck a lap down and essentially out of it. Agnell Phillip did not have a good first week at all in terms of this championship. Now, he's involved in an accident, so those are 2 big names that would be on anybody's short list for title contenders in Harris and Phillip, who are going to take a big hit in those hopes here tonight.
Yeah, a big hit for those drivers, and we'll have to see how they bounce back. Now, the question I have is, we've seen Malik Ray be strong on restarts when he's a lead car, but as the 2nd place car, one of the hardest jobs in iRacing is starting here in restarts. I'm curious how he performs on the outside line.
We'll see how it shakes out. Lariah control car choosing the inside line, which puts Malik Ray into the trickier top side. DeMerchant on the inside of row 2. Kada to his outside. Those are your top 4. Green flag in the air. Good start for Lariah and a good start for Malik Ray. He'll defend 2nd to turn 1.
Yeah, great job by the right here. Going to get out early and get up in front of Malik Ray here and have a nice battle, almost 3 wide behind him, and they're going to settle that quickly. Oh, there's a slow car there in the middle of that pack. That's a 2 car. That's Sam Nieto.
Nieto all kinds of loose, and as they all try to figure it out down the backstretch, the 5 goes 4 wide to turn 3. They'll get it down to just 3 wide by the time they get into the corner, but it is go time. Coming to 15 laps to go. Everybody wants a piece of somebody as we get down to the end here at MIS.
Ooh, look at me again. Almost 4. Actually, they are 4 wide here. I'm using the apron as one of the cars, so they're going to make a nice pass here.
It was Howe all the way down to the flat part of the racetrack. He made them work, but he's going to be slow on the exit because he didn't get any sort of an arc in. Yeah, why not 4 wide again? The 97 topside. The 7 of Trudell almost went low, backed out of it late now, and instead the 6 of George goes under. And up front, battle for the race lead. Malik Ray to the inside of Michael Araya, and Seth the Merchant watches on from third. What a fight it would be if these two could find each other again, but Michael Araya wants to spoil the storyline. He wants to steal the win. He's led the last 8 laps, remember, took over the lead courtesy of a timely pit stop. That does mean, though, his tires are about a lap older than these two. We'll see if that's a factor. Ray, the lead off of 2, but Laraya pulls even.
And to add to that story a little bit about the Merchant, new fastest lap, so he's obviously pulling in these cars every lap here with those faster laps. Doing a great job, and that's a great 4-car battle for the lead. Maybe the closest battle we've seen all night, as Malik Gray just took the lead out of turn 4.
Yeah, new race leader once again, Malik Ray, who has secured the most laps led on the afternoon, goes back to the race lead here at Michigan International Speedway. Now for DeMerchant, how quick can you get to second? That was an awful turn number 2 for Laraya, but it's not bad enough for DeMerchant to clear. So now DeMerchant has to fight with Laraya. The longer this goes on, the harder it's going to be for him to get to Malik Ray up top. Good news for the 57. He makes quick work in turn 3. And how about some deja vu? It is once again Seth the Merchant chasing Malik Ray. This time, it's at 12 laps to go.
It's at 12 laps to go, and he's got a little bit of help. Laraya will provide a little bit of drafting help to help the Merchant get there. And we'll see how this plays out. If it's second burst, same as the first, or if Malik Ray can hold off the Merchant this time. Time will tell, and time is quickly ticking. Hold on, we got a car loose here, and saved it. That's Dylan Coyle, Race Spot's own Dylan Coyle right there.
He was in a 3-wide spot. He made contact with the 74 car. That was Malachi McGleshan up top. Dylan did a good job of saving the race car, but it's going to cost him a lot of spots as he slips back to 19th spot. So tough break for him. He apologizes, said he didn't know that they were 3 wide up top, but the good news is they keep it on track. DeMerchant pulls away from Laraya. There's 2 fights going on right now. The battle for the lead and the battle for third, because Cato closes into the back bumper, the 44. He wants a spot on the podium tonight, but that 57 has been able to reel in Malik Ray once tonight. There's no reason you wouldn't think he can't do it a second time. He's been a little bit better on these longer runs. And now the battle for the lead is within a car length as we come to 10 laps to go. DeMerchant will go to the outside as that one of Malik Ray goes slow to protect the bottom. Nose to nose into turn number 1 as it is part 2 of Ray versus DeMerchant.
Wow, what a great, powerful run by the Merchant there, showing he has the power to make the passing outside. That was a tight battle coming to the line here. Now the Merchant's going to try the bottom as Malik Ray has opened it up here. He'll now be to the inside here for turn 3, and he will likely at least temporarily complete the pass here. The question is who gets the better run off the corner.
DeMerchant's got a nose in front. The 1 car does not fold, though, and it was the same pass last time. DeMerchant overtaking Ray. That happened initially. The 1 wouldn't go away. Then there was the contact. This time, Malik stays topside, doing a very good job of staying even with the 57 car. What he's hoping for is the big run off of the corner, trying to use the banking to his advantage. It will be an advantage, but not a major one. He's only going to be able to get that nose to the door of the 57 car. DeMerchant now forced all the way down to the yellow line, and in the center of 3 and 4, he's got him. DeMerchant clear for the race lead, coming to 8 laps to go. Now, can that Monte Carlo number 1, Malik Ray, get back to him once more?
We'll wait and see here. Malik Ray spent a lot of time trying to pinch Seth the Merchant there. I think Malik would have been better suited to have run the line he wanted to run, that he's better at, versus trying to pinch here. But now Seth's doing the same thing as he almost made contact again in nearly the same spot on the track.
No fear for Seth the Merchant. Malik Ray was right on that left rear again, and Some may think that if you got hit there before, you'd be a little bit nervous about somebody near it and yield, but DeMerchant held his ground. It squeezed the one car out of the bottom lane, and a caution will fly behind. That'll shake things up once more. Trouble maybe on the back straightaway. We'll have to try to find who went around, as it was a quick yellow, and whoever was involved may have headed to pit road pretty quickly. It looks like it was Malachi McGleshan, the 74 car, back straightaway, lap number 68, who was having some big time problems trying to park the race car, but unfortunately when the car comes to a complete stop on the racetrack, the yellow flag came out.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if there's something else going on besides that, because with Malachi down off the track, I'm surprised this is going to trigger the yellow here. Typically, race control would say if he's down below that white line, that nothing would cause it, but obviously the yellow came out here with only a few laps to go. Now the question I'm excited about here, Evan, is anyone brave enough to take a two-tire run? We heard this last week. I think we talked to Seth DeMerchant. He kind of admitted that he wished he had tried it. And everyone's down pit road, and I think someone's going to try two tires this time.
We will see if anybody is bold enough to go for the two-tire stop. They've all been out there for anywhere from 16 to 18 laps on the tires, so no surprise that they head down pit road. But the question will be, do they go for 4 tires like they've done all night, or do they decide to go for more? Race leaders into pit road. You're looking at the 57 and the 1, nose to nose, as the top 2 on the racetrack. They're both going to go for 4 tires. DeMerchant looks like his team gets around to the left side first. They do, but he's not going to win the race off of pit road, because in front of him, Nathan Jurgensen, right side tires only, and Dominic Howe in the 07 also with right side tires only are going to take over the top 2 spots and just made this race a whole lot more interesting.
And right now, if you're Dominic Howe or if you're Nathan Jurgensen, what you're probably really honestly hoping for, Evan, is that a couple of massive wrecks happen behind you and this race would end under caution. If you had to race all 6 laps, you might be questioning if that was the right call, but watch this again. Oh, the Sprite car. Oh, got cranberried into the wall there in the 82. And that's going to be a little spicy of a conversation probably about what happened. But he's lucky on pit road and can get it fixed.
Listen, it's a good-looking car, but I thought the Sprite cranberry, or the Sprite spiced cranberry, right? I mean, it's like 4 different words. How long can we make it? It's the Sprite winter spiced cranberry, 82. My girlfriend didn't like the flavor. She's normally a fan of it. Didn't like the spiced cranberry on the Sprite this year, but it's a festive paint scheme nonetheless. Minazzi's always representing the Sprite. Here's the onboard perspective of what happened on pit road, and tough break for Dylan Coyle there, who gets into the back of the car in front of him, and Dylan apologized. I think he was assuming, because those cars were on the pit stall side of the line, that they would phase through each other. They did not, though, and basically ran over the 82 car.
Yeah, unfortunate right there. Sort of similar in a way, although last week's incident between Maverick Davis was on track when he made contact with another driver. But 2 weeks in a row now we've seen an incident under yellow here. So, Evan, I'm going to ask you as we're coming around to 1 to go, yes or no, cranberries?
Generally speaking,
the food,
yeah, generally speaking, no. Just not a cranberry guy. There's better ones out there. Better berries.
Well, we don't agree on a lot of things, such as Michigan or Ohio State or what type of pizza someone should eat, I think. But we agree on this. Cranberries are a no.
Glad that we could settle that once and for all. And now on track, these drivers going to settle who's going to win this race at Michigan once and for all. With the strategy calls made, Dominic Howe and Nathan Jurgensen will take over the top 2 positions. They take right sides only. So that gets them the track position. But it's going to be tough for them to do more than that. Then behind them, Seth DeMerchant on 4 tires. There's no shock that that was the decision for him. And then in between him and Malik Ray is Grant Davis. 24 car also took 2 tires. That puts Malik Ray back to row number 3. Pace car off it in for what could be the final time tonight with 4 laps to go. Green flag back in the air. It's a good jump for Howe. And here comes DeMerchant on the inside with Malik Ray in tow.
A great jump at D, and Malik Ray already there and making that move to the inside, trying to make it happen behind Seth the Merchant.
They touch again. The one got into the quarter panel. The 57 got loose and saved it off of 2. Here come the fresh tires for the Merchant. Howe tries to block low. To Merchant, able to get underneath him. Door to door, side by side. Battle for the lead in turn 3. Dominic Howe trying to keep that car spooled up top side, but can't shake Seth. New leader off of 4 as Howe's into the wall.
Into the wall indeed, did a great job of staying out of the way of Malik Ray and others here. So Howe's going to fall back here, just getting really overwhelmed by the talented drivers here. Now got Lariah to the inside. But listen, if Howe can finish his car top 5, even top 10, Evan, with this strategy of 2 tires, this will be a moral victory.
In the end, looking for a net gain, right? Just because it may not be the race win doesn't mean it's not a strategy win. 3 wide for 3rd as Howe topside, just trying to hold on. William Schmidt in the middle. Michael Lariah underneath. Jurgensen and Moore trying to close in. 2 laps to go. Malik Ray needs 0.3 of a second if he wants to go back-to-back.
And right now, both these drivers are looking for strong performances here to have great starts to this 2023-2024 season. Malik just put down the fastest lap of the race here with 2 to go, and he's trying to make a move here, as are their competitors behind him.
That shot down the backstretch is so good. One car off onto the apron trying to save it. You can see them dart out of line, slide off of the corner. That battle for 3rd for the moment simmers down. Some more fighting back inside of the top 10. They go 3 wide off of the corner. Can they keep it together to get to the white flag? Yes, we do. 1 lap to go at Michigan. It's a Jared Widemaster sandwich in the battle for 9th. That battle going to go down to the wire. So is the battle up front, though. Malik Ray within 2.5 car lengths. Is it enough?
Oh, big wreck in the back. We'll get it after the race is over here. The lead is still fighting here. DeMerchant seems to have it wrapped up. Now the question, if you're DeMerchant, do you think Malik Ray will dig it in here and use that bumper if he can? But I don't think he has time.
He tried it. Seth was able to hook it on the bottom. It's going to be too little, too late. And Seth, the Merchant, hangs on, wins at Michigan for his first victory this season in this RealSimRacing IceBreaker Winter Series. And in the head-to-head battle between these two of the very best on the surface, that's 1 for Seth and 1 for Malik.
Yeah, what a great job right there. And they're both now going to race side by side down the back straight. A little bit of congratulations probably coming here. Or is Malik just going to pass him by? I think Malik's just going to, nope, there it is.
A little bit of a dual celebration. Malik got his donuts in Chicagoland, but maybe he feels like he needs a couple more, so they'll both go drifting. Let's take a look as the 57 celebrates on the front straightaway. Seth the Merchant once again, a Monday night race winner in RealSimRacing. Let's wind it back and look at what happened on the back straightaway on the last lap of this race, right? Once they got to the white flag, this race was official, but that meant that the incident didn't trigger a yellow. Widemaster in the middle into the outside wall. That was one incident. I think there was a second wreck either up the road or behind this. Maybe it was that hit there with the 2 car, but I mean, we knew when we watched that 3 wide go off and into turn number 1, yeah, we had to go look at the race lead. That's where the battle was, but something told me that that was not going to work out when they went 3 and 4 wide, and evidently that is where the incident came from ultimately when Widemaster was tagged by the 88 car behind him.
Yeah, what a great race it was in a battle. Let's go and take a look here. Seth the Merchant is your race winner. Beats Malik Ray by 0.284 seconds. William Smith's in 3rd with Michael Lariah back in P4. Sam Nieto takes P5 with Dominic Howe up to P6, by the way, on that 2-tire call. Nathan Jurgensen right behind him, 2 tires in P7. Ross Cato's 8.
Oh, shit. Oh. Sorry, Dustin.
Continuing on through in 11th position tonight, it'll be Kyle Kamer in that position with Braden Whitaker 12th, Blade Witt 13th, Benazzi Major and Mike Maddox inside of the top 15. Tom Wetmore, Cody Harris, Harry Grindle, Jared Widemaster, and Galen Gidman come home inside of the top 20. Again, most of those drivers were fighting for top 10 spots coming to the white flag, involved in those accidents down the back straightaway.
Yeah, well, Agno Phillip, of course, involved in that incident earlier with Kyle Trudell, 21st and 22nd. Nicholas Mara and Don Stevenson, 23rd and 24th. These are the last cars in the lead lap. Then Thomas George, Dylan Coyle, Eric Papineau, and Sean Callis 1 lap down. You got Malachi McLaughlin, the 29th, 8 laps down, and Carl Shedd, 19 laps down in P30.
And then Michael Guest and Brett Larson unable to make it to the scheduled distance. They will come home in 31st and 32nd position. And that is a look top to bottom at your full race results tonight at the Michigan International Speedway. Let's start with the top step of the podium and go trackside, see if we can get a word with your race winner tonight at Michigan International Speedway. Seth the Merchant goes to lead 9 laps, but Seth, you kind of had to do it twice. First, congratulations on the win, but then tell us about both of those battles with Malik. First, you get the lead and end up wrong way around, and then you get some redemption to close it in at the end again.
Yeah, just, I don't know. Figured out how to drive about halfway through the race, was able to challenge with Malik, and I guess I just turned in earlier than he was expecting, or I don't really know what happened. I haven't watched it yet. But, spun out. Luckily, we only lost 4 spots. So, we're kind of still right there. And really, it was just 1 spot because all the other people that had passed me were people that pitted already under green. So we just followed Malik back through the traffic and raced him again.
Well, the question was posed to you just a week ago, strategy-wise. This time you stick with the 4, and it ends up working. Any second thoughts in that decision when you guys were coming down pit road, or were you pretty confident the fact that you had been able to catch Malik once, that the decision was to just go with 4 and not risk anything?
Yeah, no, I felt good about it because the setup was so loose that I felt like 2 tires. Like, you probably could have got the lead and held it for, like, a lap. But, like, you weren't going to be able to put the power down for 4 laps if it went green. So I felt like 4 tires was really the only thing you could do.
So you've done it at the intermediate racetrack, and now we've given it a go here at the 2-mile D-shaped oval. How was this race maybe different than what we saw a week ago at Chicago from behind the wheel?
Just a lot more high speed, less braking, less fall off. Really, it felt like there was a lot of draft. I felt like into play there. Like I kind of could just sit behind Malik for a while and just draft off him and save tires. Where it's like I didn't really feel like that at Chicagoland. And I think the dynamic track worked a little bit, maybe because I could run the bottom in both corners, but it didn't do as much as I expected it to. But I mean, it was still a good race.
Your finishes so far this season: first, second, first. That's a pretty good average for you. Does that trend and that kind of bar that you've set continue when we go racing in a week's time at Homestead?
Yeah, I'm just trying to knock off as many good finishes as I can, trying to get the championship, get a good lead, going into the final races. So just trying to be as consistent as I can and just see where we're at the end.
We'll let you get out of here and celebrate, Seth. Before we do, sponsors, shout-outs, those good folks. Who makes it happen for you?
Just all my teammates at Altus Esports and, Joey Lopez and Tucker Minner. They were spotting me tonight, and then just you guys for putting on the league.
We appreciate you and some of these other top talents competing here with us at Monday nights and putting on a show for us, Seth. Congratulations on the win, and we'll probably, the way things have been going, talk to you next week.
Thanks, Evan.
He's your race winner tonight at Michigan International Speedway. Flip side of the coin, Malik Ray was at victory lane a week ago at Chicago. Tonight, it is second. He has still been so good in his 2 starts so far this season. And Derek, your track side with tonight's runner-up.
One of the most well-known racers in the league and across all of iRacing. Malik, what a great run tonight. You had a lot of laps led. I think we have to start by asking the obvious question. Right about halfway through the race, you and Seth make contact. What's your perspective of what happens there?
I think he thought that I was going to lift early so he could come down, and I was still there, and then he just turned himself off my nose. That's really all there was to it.
Luckily for him, it's a big track, and he was able to save it, so no wall contact, nothing like that. The other question I'm going to ask you is a little bit later after that, or maybe before that, they had a car who pitted early in that cycle, Thomas George at 6, and he got around both of you. Was that a surprise how fast he passed you, or would you prefer he passed you somewhere else? Did that make it hard to keep Seth behind you?
No, not really, to be honest with you. I don't even recall him passing me at all, to be honest. I was just trying to get some drive off the corners because I was getting pretty sideways there towards the end.
All right, so I asked this of your competitors last week after you won, so I'm going to ask you now. Was there a point under that last caution where you thought maybe 2 tires?
No, nah. I feel like 4 tires was the call, and it was because Seth won, but nah, I didn't think about 2 tires at all. I didn't think it would be bad. It's just like with Seth being up there, like I just knew that it wasn't gonna work.
Fair enough. Well, you started off the season, of course, now first last week, second this week. Next week's Homestead, Miami, pardon me. What are your opinions of that track?
I don't really like it, to be honest with you. Michigan, I was okay with. Homestead, I'm not really too much of a fan of, but hopefully it goes green again and we don't have a caution in the middle of cycles like in this race.
All right, well, listen, great job tonight. We'll let you get out of here. Before you do, anyone you want to thank or say hello to, who makes it happen for you?
It's just you guys. It's just y'all. I just appreciate you guys for, putting on the league and broadcasting and whatnot. That's all.
All right, well, we appreciate you too, and have a good night, and we'll see you next week.
Appreciate it, man. Same to y'all.
All right, that is Malik Gray, driver of the 1 car, finishing P2 tonight, Evan. And I think now we have William Schmidt.
Yeah, we'll continue on down and see if we could get William Schmidt as well, who comes home with a 3rd place finish tonight. William, congratulations on kind of a P3 that sneaks into this, right? We were paying so much attention late to the Malik Gray and Seth the Merchant battle. Guys like Michael and those other guys were up there all night, but you kind of peak when it matters the most, having driven through the field from P22. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I didn't get the qualifying round that I wanted. I ended up coming back to my sim because I was out eating, came back. And yeah, everybody's already running laps, couldn't really get a draft lap in, so I was stuck in the mid-20s or so. And from there, I was just kind of charging through the field and trying not to make any dumb mistakes. Nearly ran into a couple of guys, but everything's clean. And then when pit stops came around, I felt like I had a pretty good strategy that could have easily gotten us the top 5. And then the caution came out right in front of me. I thought I was going to get turned by a Seth there, but barely scooted by. But I ended up getting trapped a lap down, got the lucky dog, sent to the end of the pack, and was just basically do what I did before, charge through the field, and someone got 3rd.
Second start of the season here. You had a good run into position in the Daytona opener to begin with. Obviously didn't get the result that you wanted in that one. So what's it mean for you to be able to kind of the opposite of that one, right? You start off, you mentioned not getting in the qualifying effort you wanted, but having been able to have that race speed to put it all together.
Yeah, I didn't really think of it as a complete flip around from Daytona, but it really kind of is. And obviously, I'm not doing this full time, so points aren't really a huge matter to me, but I still feel like it's pretty cool to, get a top 3 out of this, finish behind 2 very, very talented drivers. And yeah, I hope to be able to put runs like this together later in the season. I don't know what races I will and will not attempt, but hopefully we can get some runs like this.
We're looking forward to seeing what you and the 97 car can do for the rest of the year, William. Before we let you go, anybody else want to say hi to?
Yeah, of course. Everybody with SKS Motorsports, hi Schulte, hi Coop. We actually did good for once. Yeah, and obviously thanks to you guys for putting this on. It's really fun to be here, and yeah, hopefully we can get around to doing more of this.
Appreciate having you, William. Congratulations on a good result, and good luck. Hope to see you back soon.
All right, thank you.
It's your 3rd place finisher tonight from Michigan International Speedway. William Schmidt rounds it out. Big thanks to him. 2nd place finisher Malik Gray and race winner Seth the Merchant on chatting with us. And another race with these Gen 4 Cup cars deliver another good one. And there was drama, contact, controversy, strategy, and an exciting finish to the end. In the end, Merchant gets the race victory. It is his 2nd of the year. And man, what a championship battle. I'm just thinking, Derek, this would have been if we had seen Malik Gray week 1 in Daytona, right? His consistency is one thing, and can easily, if he can keep it up, go for a top 5 in the championship, even having to miss a race. But I just don't see, unless something catastrophic happens to Seth, that you're going to be able to make up a whole race on a guy who's finished 1st, 2nd, and 1st.
Well, that's the story, right? Is it's going to be about Malik Gray keeping the pressure on Seth the Merchant and almost forcing him into a mistake. That's where Malik Gray could take advantage here. But if Malik has finishes at 1st and 2nd every week, he'll be right behind him.
And we head back to another intermediate racetrack in which Malik Hot Take Ray said it wasn't his favorite racetrack, but it's one that is adored by so many others. Homestead Miami Speedway in 1 week's time.
Yeah, what a great track it is. Of course, we've seen so much great action here in real life and virtually. The home of the first, NASCAR iRacing series race that happened on live on TV. So a lot of great racing's happened here. I'm excited. It's our last race before our holiday break.
That's right, 4 races on this side of the holiday break, and then 4 races when we come back next year in 2024 to make up this 8-race championship. Until next time, though, that is it for us here tonight from Michigan. On behalf of our entire team here at RaceSpotTV, for our producer downstairs, Dustin Allis, for Derek Watson, and myself, Evan Pasoko, I want to thank you for tuning in and congratulate Seth the Merchant, who's a 2-time race winner so far this season. We're back next Monday night. That's Monday, December the 18th for iRacing's virtual Homestead Miami Speedway. That race and every race of the 2024 RealSimRacing IceBreaker Winter Series can be found exclusively here on RaceSpotTV. Till next time, good night from Michigan.